Okay, alhamdulillah, rabbil alameen, wa salatu wa salamu ala khayr al-mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. So inshallah tonight we will continue the topic of Jum'ah, which was, what was the topic of Jum'ah?
Da'wah.
Hajj?
Da'wah.
It's not Hajj.
The importance of spreading the word.
I forgot the topic. So I guess everybody was paying attention. You'd be surprised. Many places I go to and people already forgot the topic. You meet them at night. Alhamdulillah. So basically today we discussed and we established that da'wah in Islam is considered to be what? What's the ruling of da'wah? Sunnah? What do you think? Our brothers, what do you think? Is it Sunnah? Okay, good. Perfect. So everybody was paying attention. Wonderful. So when we establish that something is a faridah or obligation, compulsory mandate or whatever you want to call it, then learning the faridah is what? Becomes what? Becomes fard. Great. So learning the process itself is actually part of the obligation. So to learn the how to. Okay, wonderful. So I divided that into two sections. When it comes to this first section, it's discussed on an entire series at Huda TV. You know Huda TV, that's on the channel. There is a program called Treasure Hunt. I actually discussed, I was the show host for this program. And in season 1, an entire season, we discussed just this first section. But, since we have a very limited time, inshallah, I'll try to be brief. But for more details, you can search on YouTube, Huda TV, Treasure Hunt. Okay, you'll see all the details. Perfect, okay. So I want you to pay attention. First, I'd like you to take notes. Take notes on your phone. Unless you have really good memory, like Al-Bukhari, who used to memorize everything on his own. Because I'll be asking you about these pointers, inshallah ta'ala, the purpose of tonight's class or presentation is for us to implement it, right? And also you're gonna contribute too. You're not gonna be watching, but you're gonna be telling me what's in the presentation. Okay, we agree? Any problems? Okay. All right, so the first one, obviously it's there. Make sure before you do anything in Islam that you're doing it for who? Allah. For Allah. Great, so that requires sincerity of intention. Ikhlas and niyyah, right? We call this the niyyah, to have niyyah. Meaning to prepare your intention to make sure you're doing it for Allah's sake. Perfect. Second, after that, to make sure that, and by the way, the second one is, in order for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept any of your deeds, you have to fulfill two things. The first one is to be sincere, to do it for Allah. The second one is to do what? What do you think, brothers? What do you think? But any action, is any action good? Any action acceptable? Or what kind of action?
A good action.
Good action, but any good action is acceptable. What do you think?
If it's sincere.
If it's sincere, you agree with the brother? I like your answers, mashallah. But here we have to agree on one thing. That any action in Islam, in order for it to be accepted by Allah, you have to fulfill two things. To be sincere, meaning to do it for Allah's sake, only and solely for Him. Second is that action should be compliant with what? Quran and Sunnah. Great. So you cannot just invent a new action that's not the Quran or the Sunnah. or the action of the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, والسلام, and say, well, I'm sincere. Like I like Fajr so much. Fajr is beautiful salah, but it's so short. It's only 2 rak'ah. Don't make it 3, maybe 6. You know what I mean? So we have to have boundaries. Okay, great. So the second one, I would call it knowledge. You have to do it with knowledge. Perfect. All right. What else? You have to tell me at least 3 before I proceed. What other tools? So now we are discussing the tools of da'wah. These are the characteristics of da'wah.
Knowledge.
We just discussed knowledge. Good. So what else?
Your actions.
Da'wah by action. Right? Is that what you mean? Perfect. So you have to illustrate Islam or portray Islam in your behavior. You have to have good conduct or character. You have to, honestly, the best da'wah ever is da'wah by action. And in that regard, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, in Surah Al-Fussilat, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ومن أحسن قولا ممن دعا إلى الله وعمل صالحا. And who's better in speech than him? What does he do? He invites mankind to Allah and he works righteousness, meaning he practices what he preaches. Perfect, great. So we have 3 so far. I'll be covering 14, so there's plenty left. What else? What else?
Being nice and da'wah.
This is part of being da'wah by action. Al-istiqamah, which is the knowledge or al-ittibā, pretty much. But you mean, but istiqamah is thabat? Is that what you mean, thabat? I'm sorry? Well, you know, that brings us to another one. It's very profound. Al-thabat. To be steadfast, not to give up. Al-thabat. To be steadfast, consistent. Don't give up, because at the end of the day, Allah will reward you based on your actions, not based on the results. إنك لا تهدي من أحببت ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء. Right? We all know that. فذكر إنما أنت مذكر. لست عليهم بمسيطر. Your task is just to remind. You don't guide whomsoever you love, but Allah guides whomsoever He wants. Right? Well, perfect. That's another one. Dua. Dua and da'wah, they go hand in hand. You give da'wah during the day and you make dua and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide the people during the night. Perfect. Okay, who else?
How about benefit?
I'm sorry?
Benefit? Not to have benefit for the person doing it?
Not to have benefit?
Yeah, you know how a Christian, what they do, they go and promote Christianity just for them.
Yeah, which is part of the very first one, to be sincere. The first characteristic is to do it with ikhlas an-niyyah, sincerity of intention. Perfect, we go. So that's covered as well. What else?
Providing aid.
Providing aid, that's part of da'wah action. It's a huge, tagline that so many actions can fall under. So Allah says in Surah Al-Nahl, one of the major verses in the Quran when it comes to da'wah, when it comes to instructions. Allah says, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ادع إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة. So hikmah, to have hikmah, to have wisdom. What's wisdom? Who can explain to me what's wisdom? Who can explain it? Who can explain wisdom to me? What's wisdom? When I say someone is hakim, yes, hikmah. What's hikmah? Hikmah?
To do the right thing at the right time.
Perfect. And subhanAllah, see the word hukm, hikmah, hukm is to be able to judge, right? To make that judgment. So I would call it sound judgment, really, to be able to know what to say, when to say it, how to say it, and to whom to say it to. You cannot memorize a script like a lot of the missionaries we see. they just memorize a script. They stop anyone on the street or knock on their door and just give the same script. We applaud them for their sincerity, but this is a huge flaw because you are lacking people. That brings us to a very interesting one, which is named here as number 3, knowledge of the culture. To be able to understand people's culture. In that regard, Ali ibn Abi Talib says, حدثوا الناس بما يعرفون. He also says, خاطبوا الناس على قدر عقولهم. So call or talk to people according to their understanding, in a way that you can convey the message according to their understanding and according to their level. Because otherwise, I mean, and this is really very alarming what he says here. Because the second part of his saying, he says, أَتُرِيدُونَ أَن يُكَذَّبَ اللَّهُ? Meaning that you could be saying the haqq, you could be speaking the truth, but you will cause these people to commit kufr. Because you are saying it in a way that just totally just doesn't make sense to them. Totally, it just has just right above their heads. And you will cause, you're sincere in everything, but then you're conveying the message in a way that just, that's why it's really important to know the culture of the people too. To know, to basically know the do's and don'ts of the culture, right? We have, every culture has certain taboos, right? That you can't speak about, or you should be very sensitive, right? Like smiling, for example. Who think that smiling is good? It's sunnah, right? And it's something very desirable, even here in North America. But some cultures, if you smile randomly, like, in Eastern Europe for sure, people really start suspecting that that's suspicious. This guy's up to something, So it's, subhanAllah, it's amazing, traveling the world. I've done about 40 international trips for Mercy for Mankind, subhanAllah, from far east to the far west. It's amazing to see how different humans are. Mind-blowing, like, it's like you wonder, subhanAllah, how did we all come from the same family? It's just amazing. People just throughout the time, they just changed and developed and adopted new things and new dealings, new cultures and new habits. And that caused all these divisions that we see. So you have to be really aware of the culture. Okay, great, what else? So here we are discussing the tools of da'wah, the characteristics of da'wah. Wonderful. One of the really, I would say it's like the backbone when it comes to da'wah. The backbone of da'wah is as-sabr, patience. Because without patience, you'll give up and you'll just throw the whole thing behind you and just enjoy life, right? Because you're constantly trying to guide people, and instead of them appreciating what you're doing, they keep attacking you, they keep hurting you, they keep, mocking you, they keep, the whole 9 yards, right? So you have to have a lot of patience. Matter of fact, a very great deal of patience. And in that regard, we find Luqman alayhi salam, the Hakim, one of the greatest men of wisdom, to the point that some scholars thought that he was a prophet, an African man, by the way. So here, Luqman was advising his own son by telling him, Ya bunayya, aqim as-salat, wa'mur bil-ma'rufi, wanha 'anil munkar. Thumma qala, wasbir 'ala ma asabat, inna dhalika min 'azmi al-umur. What does that mean? Here, it translates as, O my beloved son, very compassionate with his son. SubhanAllah, it's amazing when you see how he used to advise his son. It's all in the Quran, Surah Luqman. A lot of the parents are very harsh with their children, especially us, our culture, that Eastern culture. We're very, very harsh. I mean, I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of the parents are harsh. And because we grew up that way. But subhanAllah, that kind of backfires, because the harsher you are with your child, the more he kind of loses the trust. If something bad happens with him, he's not going to come to you because he's scared of you. So he's going to go to his friends. And those friends are different. It could be good, it could be bad, right? So anyway, so he told him, oh my beloved son, oh my dear beloved son, أقم الصلاة, perform your prayers, وأمر بالمعروف, and enjoin goodness, and وأمر بالمعروف وانهى عن المنكر, and so enjoining good and forbidding evil. And then after that, he says something so interesting. What's the correlation between these things? He said, وَاصْبِرْ عَلَى مَا أَصَابَكَ, and be patient. Be patient, because you'll be afflicted. Anytime you enjoy goodness, forbid evil, anytime to do, you try to change or make a good impact on society or try to rectify things, and instead of people telling you thank you, they attack you, right? Just human nature. إلا ما رحم ربي, of course, except a few. رحم الله بنا يهدى إلينا عيوبنا. Umar ibn Khattab used to say, may Allah bless and have mercy upon the person who gifted me, used to gift me with my flaws. This is how he viewed advice. Some guy tells you, well, you're doing this bad, you're doing this wrong. Most of us get really defensive, but Umar ibn Khattab didn't. He used to say, he used to make dua for that person who would tell him about his flaws and mistakes. And he would call it gifting. So the correlation here is the sabr, because you'll be hurt. You'll be affected in a very bad way.
But how you get patient? I mean, it's...
So patience is by practicing patience. The Prophet ﷺ said, الصبر بالتصبر والحلم بالتحلم والعلم بالتعلم, as we all know, these things. But patience is by practicing patience. فإذا الذي بينك وبينه عداوة كأنه ولي حميم وما يلقاها إلا الذين صبروا وما يلقاها لذو حظ عظيم. Surah Al-Sad again. SubhanAllah, these verses are coming after the command of da'wah. Or who's better? That rhetorical question. And who's better in speech than the one who invites mankind to Allah and he works righteousness. And then, as the verses go, here Allah is saying, and treat your worst enemy as if he's your best friend. And it's not easy, I know, it's hard. It's absolutely hard. But then, like I mentioned, the hadith, patience or gaining patience comes with practicing patience. Okay? So again, not to drift from the topic, because since we have a very limited time, many things to cover. Going back, the Anbiya and the Rusul, the prophets and the messengers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, gave many examples. He actually mentioned the Quran, many of their stories. And all of them had one thing in common. They had a great deal of patience. Except Prophet Yunus, Jonah. Known in the Bible, Jonah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that he, at one point, couldn't have that patience. He ran out of patience at one point and he left. Without the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as you all know the story, how the whale, just basically swallowed him, and he was in his stomach for so many days, as we all know the miracle that happened and how Allah saved him, right? But anyway, Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam, he was very patient with his people. He was giving them da'wah for how long? Almost 1,000 years, 950 years, right? And many prophets, they were really patient with their people. And like I said, you practice patience. You try it the first time, you may fail, but at least Allah give you strength. Allah give you strength, right? And subhanallah, you try the first time, you fail. Second time, you're very conscious, you're very aware. Maybe you do it halfway, not even half. But then after so long, as long as you're conscious of it, eventually you'll be able to, if you continuously work on it, practice patience. And subhanAllah, every day is a trial. People, may give you a hard time at work, or your spouse, or your children, or so many things. Just practicing patience with the little things. Eventually, you'll be able to do it with the big things, as we know. Okay, great. So, as we move forward, giving da'wah actions is already covered. And hikmah, wisdom, is already covered. So, Comes after that consistency, which we already covered. You know, like I said, consistency. You do it and don't expect the results to happen in your lifetime. The Prophet ﷺ commanded us to plant the seed. As we all know, you just have to plant the seed. Even if the Qiyamah, even if the day of resurrection is taking place, the apocalypse is happening, the world is destroyed, just plant, and you have a fasila, you know, a little tree, just plant it. You just have to plant the seed. You are not asked for the results. Just plant the seed. Plant the seed. Don't give up. Don't let despair get your heart. Right? So, and be consistent. Because every time you give da'wah, whether these people respond or not, whether they become Muslim or not, or whether your brothers and sisters who are Muslim choose to, you know, choose not to follow or practice Islam. Of course, as long as you're doing, you know, you can't be given advice of being harsh, being, you know, unkind. You have to really give it to them in a very beautiful way too. Because here Allah said, "Ud'u ila sabil rabbik bil hikmah wal maw'izatil hasanah." So, beside giving da'wah or calling people to Islam with hikmah, wisdom, you have to add to it wal maw'izatil hasanah, good advice, hasanah, beautiful advice. If they start arguing and attacking, and argue with them in the best of manners. Okay, great. So, we have six so far, and anyone wants to add anything? Any other tools? Any other traits? Okay, let's review the ones that we covered, 6. We just covered here. Who can tell us? All 6?
Sincerity of intention.
Sincerity of intention. Go ahead.
Wisdom.
Wisdom. Patience.
Consistency.
Consistency. Knowledge. Dua. Good. That's enough. So here I would add the yaqeen, to be confident, to have certainty in your own faith. Because a lot of Muslims may question, how do I know that Islam is the truth? How do I know that Islam not a fake religion? How do I know that the Quran is not man-made? How do I know that Prophet Muhammad is a true prophet? These are all questions in everybody's head, especially our own children who are born and raised in this very multi-diverse country. All these faiths and religions and creeds, and with each one there's so many ideologies and creeds and sects. It's crazy, really. I mean, alhamdulillah, the majority of our countries, we are predominantly Muslims, right? Maybe some came from, countries where majority, like if you're in India, for example, but you still lived in pockets where the majority of the people in these places are Muslims. So, or at least you're exposed to just one faith, Hinduism, or maybe Sikhism and Hinduism, that's only a couple, right? But versus here, man, there's a billion things going on here. So you have to really have a lot of hikmah, a lot of wisdom, talking to your own children and explaining to them why we are Muslims. And if you do not know yet how to prove that your faith is divinely revealed, then inshallah you'll find out in the second section of this presentation how to prove that. Okay, so as we continue, so now I would add certitude, al-yaqeen, in your own faith. You don't want to give da'wah while you have a lot of doubts and questions. You have to give da'wah to yourself first before you give da'wah to others, right? So you have to have that covered. And the best way to cover it is by seeking knowledge. Absolutely. Satan, this is how, the only way you can defeat Satan is by knowledge. By knowledge. And one scholar could be better than 1,000 devout worshippers. Because Satan, the shaitan, can get to the worshipper, but he cannot get to the scholar. Wallahi, After I did my degree in Sharia, like, subhanAllah, all these doubts are gone forever. Every day before, like, I had a million things. But once you do your whole study in Sharia, you cover everything pretty much, you're solid. That's it. You'll just, because of that knowledge. I thank Allah every day for blessing me with the opportunity to seek knowledge. Because subhanAllah, especially in this time and age, or day and age, and all the doubts that are thrown, you're just bombarded every day with million doubts, attacking your own prophet and your own religion and your own book and everything that your faith is all about. Only way to defeat that is by and through seeking knowledge. And guess what? We have a great blessing. Having a community center like this, a masjid, a beautiful masjid like this, and we are even more blessed to have an imam. And we are even more blessed to have an imam who studied Sharia, who knows his things. He's not just some volunteer imam or just a hafiz who doesn't know Sharia or never studied the knowledges of fiqh and tafsir and hadith and all of these things. MashaAllah. I mean, so we are very blessed. I've been to hundreds of cities across the nation here in the US. And most masajid don't have that. They don't. We are very blessed. That's why it's sad to see Jum'ah packed our masajid. But then when it comes to the most profound and most important and most crucial things that our masajid offer, people, they just don't take it as seriously. They don't really pay attention because, subhanAllah, the majority of us are just practicing Islam out of aida. It's a habit, it's a culture. It's not really ibadah, unfortunately. But alhamdulillah, we should continue, working on ourselves, our families, our brothers, our sisters, our neighbors, and we should give da'wah to Muslims. Everything here, by the way, applies to Muslims, giving da'wah to Muslims and non-Muslims. You can use these strategies for everybody. Wonderful. All right. Okay, patience, already covered. Compassion, that's very, very, very important. To give da'wah with compassion. You cannot be harsh. You have to show a great, great deal of care, mercy, love, compassion towards the people that you are talking to. And who's the greatest example of compassion? Prophet ﷺ. Look at him, how he treated his own enemies. It's amazing. You wonder, how can a human being do this? How can you treat your enemies with so much kindness, love, and compassion? There's so many examples in the Sunnah. They're all covered here in the presentation. By the way, our Sheikh has a copy of it. Feel free to request it for all more details, inshallah. All right, so compassion, that brings us to humbleness. To be really humble when you talk to people. You have to have humility. You can't be arrogant. You can't speak like you know all the answers. Or you have the truth and they are misguided. Yes, we know that we have the truth. But that should remain in your heart. You should not show up. So make sure that when you talk to people, you show a great deal of humbleness. Even if they are arrogant, even if they are rude to you, you don't fight back. Using the same, the same hatred that they use, the same arrogance. No, you just really show politeness, humility, humbleness, and maybe one day, inshallah, they're going to wake up. Wallah, so many times, they come back, they apologize. I'm so sorry, I feel bad. You're very humble, you're very nice to me, and I should not have said what I said. I can't count how many times that happened to me. Anyway, so, as we approach, we have a few left. Oh, you guys saw it, too late. What else? We got a couple.
Be following up with them? Following up.
Well, they haven't become Muslim. So I'm just saying, and that part of being consistent. Okay, what else? I know it's getting harder. Okay, good communication skills. It doesn't have to be superb. But honestly, there are many places in this country that offer public speaking classes to be able to communicate. If English is not your first language, seek knowledge in the language itself. Know how to speak with the same terms, like terminologies, using the same vocab and everything. Because, today during lunch I was mentioning how, subhanAllah, that those who revert to Islam, those who become Muslim, the brothers and sisters of this country who embrace Islam are the best dua ever for the people of this country. Why? Because Allah said in Surah Ibrahim, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِنْ رَسُولٍ إِلَّا بِلِسَانِ قَوْمِهِ لِيُبَيِّنَ لَهُمْ, that we sent every messenger using the same, or speaking with the same tongue, not even language, even the slang, everything, just like his own people. So subhanAllah, you should continue. Doesn't matter, even if you are born and raised in this country, do you know how to speak with the same terminology? It's really the use, especially when it comes to religious, sessions, when it comes to like masses, when it comes to people, like the settings that people here in North America are used to, the terms are very different. SubhanAllah, I sit with Muslims all the time. While they're giving dawah, or we have visitors coming from outside of the masjid, and I'm just sitting and observing everything, and when it comes to their turn, they're using all kind of terms like Allah, subhanallah, mashallah, alhamdulillah. Brother, calm down. Especially using certain terms, like the word Allah, for example. Many of them think it's a different God. Matter of fact, many Americans think that us Muslims are pagans. We worship idols, or we worship the moon. I saw with my own ears Pat Roberts, 700 Club, most watched Christian show in the country, right? Saying and lying on national TV, saying that Muslims worship the moon. This is why you find it present in all their mosques. SubhanAllah, that symbol of Islam, the person, because that's their God, they worship the moon. And the others saying they worship a black box in the deserts. Wallahi, it's amazing. So use terms that they can relate to, like God, for example, and so on. So without elaboration, just work on your communication skills, regardless. Whether English is your first or second language, continue working on it. Allah will help you a great deal in da'wah and in your own personal and professional life as well. Okay, as we approach the last two, we already covered dua. Appearance is absolutely important. Appearance. SubhanAllah, in each society there are a certain level, a certain level of appearance or hygiene. The Prophet ﷺ had an exceptional, phenomenal kind of hygiene and appearance level. Wallahi, for his time, even for our time too, he'd be like among the top. He took showers every single day. He made wudu, not just at every salah. He would never mention the name of Allah unless he had wudu. He maintained a state of wudu constantly. All the time. So how much washing is that? And they didn't have plumbing systems and running water like we have here. They didn't have, cold and hot. Imagine taking a shower every day and how cold the desert is at nighttime. SubhanAllah, that's a full-time job. Brushing your teeth all the time. The Prophet ﷺ had a beautiful smile and white teeth. He used to brush his teeth constantly. And you all know the hadith. Right? And he used to dress what color? White. And that white was always clean and bright. And he used to smell like musk. Misk. He used to use this all the time. Fragrance and everything. And subhanAllah, he didn't have carpeted floors like how we have here. He made sujood in mud. Whenever it rained, he used to make sujood in mud, brothers. And his masjid was just sand. That was his flooring. Same thing when came to the old Arab homes. So subhanAllah, it's a role model. Honestly, you can't understand it. How? that Allah, he did put the effort and the time, and he did it for Allah's sake. So don't be lazy, you know, make sure that you look good, you look sharp, you smell good, you look nice. I mean, you are an ambassador to Islam. People will judge Islam based on your looks and your smell and everything. So, and do it for Allah's sake, you'll be rewarded, inshallah. Okay, the last one, the very last one here, before we move to the second part of the presentation, all of this is useless. All of it, all the above is useless if you are not willing to sacrifice. Are you willing to sacrifice or not? Are you willing to sacrifice your time? Are you willing to sacrifice your money? Are you willing to sacrifice the hardest of all? The hardest here is to sacrifice your own ego. Wallahi, it's not easy. That's why Allah said, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ. There is no one is better than this person who invites mankind to Allah. He calls people to Allah. No one. He is the messenger of the messenger. He's like the absolute best in society. Because it's not easy, brothers. It's not easy, sisters. And alhamdulillah, we thank Allah that Allah blessed this ummah by the best of generation. The best of generation to be ever sent to mankind, hands down, is the generation of who? The generation of? No, I'm not talking about humans. Like we just talk about generations. The best of humans are the prophets and the messengers, for sure. But the generation, as far as generation, Sahaba, the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, and their students, and then their students, right? You know the hadith. Khairul Qurun, or the best of generations, are my generation and those who come after them and those who come after them, because they learn from each other. The time is so close that still that is maintained. SubhanAllah, look at that, how much sacrifice. Allahu Akbar, a matter of 3 decades. I lived over 3 decades. And many of us here lived over 3 decades. What have we seen happening or changing in the Muslim world? For more stories. But subhanAllah, because they had this number 14, the sacrifice. They had the same exact time, but way less tools. They didn't have oil, they didn't have gold, they didn't have minerals, they didn't have anything. They were the most impoverished nation on the planet at their time. They were the poorest of the poor. I mean, they make people in Africa, or the worst place in Africa, look rich compared to their lifestyle. And go for yourself and check, read the Sirah. When they used to survive an entire day off of what? Date. One date. They couldn't even afford, sandals on their feet. When the Prophet described the Arabs, they were the poorest. They didn't have proper clothing. They were half naked. I mean, their clothes were torn. They were so poor. But then, because they had sacrifice and sincerity, in a matter of 3 decades, Islam spread from China all the way to Spain. Look at, subhanAllah, look at Muhammad ibn Qasim al-Thaqafi. SubhanAllah, look at the entire subcontinent, I'm talking about all the Muslims in countries like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, the subcontinent. It's because of the efforts of Muhammad ibn Qasim, right? Who came from Al-Ta'if, as we mentioned today, and so on and so forth. So, with sacrifice, we do so much. So, that's really the question of the day. I have to ask myself today, what have I sacrificed? Really, what have we sacrificed? How did we, or how much did we give back? Allah bless us with so much, especially in this country. How much are we willing to sacrifice? Like I mentioned today in Jum'ah, ثُمَّ لَا تُسْأَلُنَّ يَوْمَئِذٍ عَنْ النَّعِيمِ وَأَخِذْهُمْ إِنَّا مَسْئُولُونَ وَكُلُّمْ آتِي يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ فَرْضًا. I mean, all these things, brothers and sisters. Allah's going to ask you about every single blessing that He's blessed you in this life. Alhamdulillah, it's a great blessing to be still alive and well today. Because many of us, we just buried a brother in our community yesterday, just yesterday. Many, talk about billions of people under the ground willing to come for just one day to have one of our days in this life. Imagine. Yes. وأنفقوا مما رزقناكم من قبل أن يأتي أحدكم الموت فيقول رب لولا أخرتني إلى أجل قريب فأصدق وأكون من الصالحين. That, you know, Allah is mentioning an example of a Muslim, a believer. That just, if Allah, if you can just give me a respite, a little chance to come back so I can be among the righteous and pay sadaqah. But then it's too late. Allah says, وَلَا يُؤَخِّرُ اللَّهُ نَفْسًا إِذَا جَاءَ أَجَلُهَا. Okay, so as we move to the second section here, as we apply these characteristics together, we're going to divide this into stages. So stage number one would be to, what do you think? To talk to them about Islam. If you want to talk to your neighbor about Islam, co-worker, classmate, how would you start? Where would you start? Would you start by telling them, Aslam Taslam?
Ask about him first.
Huh?
Find out about him first.
Okay. Well, I would call it building the foundation here, to establish the trust. How do you expect this person to respect you, or hear you, or listen to you if there's no trust? If you haven't established that trust. And how do you establish that trust? By being what? Which tool can help you do that? What tool in the 14 tools can help you do that, to establish that trust?
Good character.
Exactly, da'wah action. Remember? We said, and this is like, you know, when it comes to, you know, the majority of those who accept Islam, it's always sparked, that interest was sparked by an interaction with a good Muslim, right? So da'wah by action, showing trustworthiness, credibility, you know, showing hospitality, generosity, showing, you know, success by you being, I'm not saying, Islam doesn't want you to be a monk and stay, you know, a monk and stay away from the people. No, Allah, as Prophet ﷺ says, the one who mingles, and he interacts with people, and he's patient, even if they hurt, continue to hurt him. He's patient. He's better than the one who stays all alone in segregation and in seclusion worshiping Allah. Can you imagine? Okay, great. So once the trust is established, what do you do next? Talk to them about Islam? Yes or no? Yes or no? Well, it's actually yes and no. How is that? I'm not trying to confuse here, but to spark their interest to ask about Islam. Sparking their interest to ask. So you do something, you say something that makes them wonder and ask you. Right? Like, for example, what are some of the things that I could do or say that can spark interest?
Fasting in Ramadan.
Great, that's a great one. They wonder, like, if they invite you for lunch or dinner or whatever in the office, and then you say, well, I'm sorry, I can't because I'm fasting. But then they start wondering, like, you have to explain, what's fasting? Like, you can speak about Muslims, why they fast, benefits of fasting, wisdom of fasting. You have to make, and again, Islam or giving da'wah in North America, you really have to use common sense, logic, and science to support what you're saying. Then they're going to have really, like, listening ears. But if you say, well, because my faith commands me, okay, whatever, you know, he's going to think, okay, wait, just, like, you have to explain. You have to show the benefits, the wisdom behind it. Great, which we all know, all of that. But always link it all to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Reminding them of their Creator. And of course, Him deserving to be worshipped and obeyed. And, look at us. I mean, we always have parents, or people have done really great things for us in life. So if we really respect them, if we appreciate what they've done, compared to what I have here, subhanAllah, look at the chemistry of your body, how your body functions, with your vision, with your hearing, heartbeat, lungs. It's unbelievable how food is just digested, everything that happens, every second. There are millions and billions of reactions happening, which you have no control over. SubhanAllah. You know, so link that. What else? Praying in front of them, right? Okay, like you can also use one of the headlines in the media, which where Muslims are in the media every other day, and discuss that. But don't be too pushy, don't be too boring. Just be brief and to the point, and they lose interest and you stop. Rather spark their interest to ask. Okay? Great. Third, then what happens next? Now in North America, the majority of the people have preconceived notions about Islam. And they view Islam in a very negative manner, right? The majority. So then what do? Trying to give them da'wah. Then can you convince somebody that Islam is the truth? And while they have all these preconceived notions, you have to address it, right? So you have to address it first. So you purify before you beautify. We have one of the rulings of Sharia, or one of the principles of jurisprudence or Islamic law, is before you beautify, you have to purify, right? So I would call this clearing the misconceptions about Islam. Some of the most common misconceptions could be terrorism, violence. We have hundreds of hadith and verses refuting all these things. For example, من آذى معاهدا فأنا أخصمه يوم القيامة ومن قتل معاهدا فلا يشم رائحة الجنة. That whoever hurts a non-Muslim civilian, the Prophet ﷺ will prosecute himself. He's talking to the Muslims. He's not talking to somebody else. To the Muslims. That you Muslim, you better be careful. Islam does not guarantee you anything. I will be against you on the day of judgment and taking the side of this non-Muslim that you have missed and that you've wronged. And if he shed his blood, forget it. You will not smell the aroma of paradise. And so on and so forth. There are plenty of them. And of course, you can find, mashallah, many videos online to address misconceptions and clear misconceptions about Islam. Alhamdulillah. Nowadays we have plenty of resources. Okay, so now that you have purified, then you have to beautify. So now what? You prove to them that Islam is the truth. And here's the big question. How do I do that? So now showing the beauties and proofs of Islam. What are the proofs? What are the most conclusive proofs in Islam? And again, da'wah here in North America has to be based on what? Logic, common sense, and proofs, and the next one is going to give it away. You tell me how to prove to them. How do you prove it? Exactly. Like? What do you mean? Explain.
Nature, biology, science, Quran.
Exactly. The scientific facts in the Quran, for example. Scientific facts in the Sunnah. There's hundreds of them. These are like some of the most sophisticated facts, like scientific facts, that have been revealed over 1400 years ago. But yet the Quran discussed all of these things. SubhanAllah, it discussed all of these things. And here's the big question: how did Prophet Muhammad ﷺ know these things? How? Like, for example, what are some of the scientific proofs in the Quran or Sunnah? You can mention some. Right, embryology, development of fetus and woman, mother. What else? Yeah, Big Bang, for example. That is kind of complicated, but let's pick like simple ones. Shape of the earth. There's also the rotation of the sun and the moon. right, in orbit. And mashallah, there's tremendous work on Islam and science done online. You'll find that by Dr. Maurice Bucaille, for example, a French scientist who compared all three religions, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, based on science. And he was not a Muslim, but he concludes in his book, Bible, Quran, and Science, that every scientific fact or every scientific info that is mentioned in the Quran was compatible with modern science, while many were incompatible with modern science in the Bible, Gospel, and Torah, right? Using also prophecies, things like the hadith I just mentioned, وَتَرَى الْحُفَاةَ الْعُرَاءَ رَعَةَ الشَّاةِ يَا اللَّهُ فِي الْبُنْيَانِ. SubhanAllah, the Prophet said that you see these, he didn't even say the Arabs, he really described, he wanted to describe how miserable their situation and condition was at the time. He said, Hufan, barefoot, Ura, half naked, they're just shepherds, they're not engineers, they're not, scientists and doctors, or they're just shepherds. You will see them, something that who would have ever imagined? He said here, you'll see these people building the tallest buildings in the world. Where's the tallest building in the world right now? Is it Paris? Is it Frankfurt? Is it New York? It's in Dubai. In Dubai. Wallahi, the most miraculous structures I've ever seen in my life. Anywhere in this world, or in places like Doha, Qatar, or places like Abu Dhabi, in Emirates, or Dubai in Emirates, places like Riyadh, places like Jeddah, places like, it's amazing, subhanAllah, the kind of architecture that these people are using there. Very creative, very amazing. Great, so now you come up with the question, how do you explain that? How would Prophet Muhammad know this? So again, that is answering what? Remember we talked earlier about yaqeen, certitude. Because these things should affect you first, as a Muslim. They should give you that strength, that conviction, that yaqeen, that you are on the haqq, absolute haqq. You just share it with others. You just come up with that question at the end. So how do you explain that? How do you explain Prophet Muhammad, an illiterate man, over 1400 years ago, knowing all these sophisticated, conclusive facts about science? Does it make sense to say maybe the creator of the universe, or it is for sure the creator of the universe, that shared with him the secrets of the universe to prove, so that he can prove to people that he is a true prophet? Does it make sense? Does it make sense to you? Alhamdulillah. Okay, wonderful. So then now, what's next? Person's convinced? Yes, it makes sense. Alhamdulillah, 90% of the time they say yes. Yes, it does make sense. But then what's next? Cool. You say just cool and give him a big hug and leave. What do you do next? Here is the most awkward thing ever.
Benefit.
It's very awkward. Exactly. To take it to the next level, to invite. We call them to Islam, to say their shahada, right? And alhamdulillah, you find that the minority, that time, the minority, they will say, sure, why not? Then the majority will say no. Then what do you do next? If they say no, then what do? You give up and you make dua for them, or what do? You continue to bug them about becoming a Muslim, or what do you do exactly? I'm sorry? Okay, perfect, brilliant, brother. Jazakallah khair. So you ask them why. What is it? Just out of curiosity, and don't put them on the spot. Again, it's all about your attitude. This is a conversation. It's give and take. It's not a confrontation. There's no confrontation here. You just, you're asking him like a friend, dear friend. What is it? What's stopping you? Sometimes it could be a spouse. Other times it could be an addiction or an illegitimate relationship with a woman, or vice versa. afraid of family. Because they're going to kick him out of the house. They're going to stop funding their college education. They're going to do whatever. You don't have, maybe it's not time for your family to know. You don't have to share it with your family. Okay, so you help them out. Alhamdulillah, now you help them, you answer it. Then next, what do? You invite them again. And if they say no at that time, then you go to the very last stage, which is to do what? What do you think? Of course, you make dua. But now this person is convinced, by the way, he's convinced, he has conviction that Islam is the truth. All the questions have been answered. Everything has been covered. Everything. So he has the same conviction that you have about Islam right now. Okay? But he's just not Muslim yet. And he's going to start, what? Okay, good. But one of the things really I found out, and this is based on my experience in this field, alhamdulillah, for quite some time, many of them are afraid to take that step, or they keep procrastinating, pushing it. Okay, later, I'll do this, I'll do that, I want to finish the whole Quran. And even if they finish the whole Quran, I had one time, I had this man told me, I read the Quran cover to cover. I believe in Islam. Islam is great, everything. But he said something so weird. Just blew me away. He said that I decided not to become Muslim until I finish entirely reading Bukhari and Muslim. He wants to finish reading Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim entirely before he becomes Muslim. Can you imagine? So Shaitan would come up with all sorts of excuses. Then, based on my experience, it's to just remind them the clock is ticking. How do you guarantee that you'll be able to live until you are able to take that decision? And I'll conclude the session by reminding by this story which has a lot of these stages covered. Inshallah, we'll finish in 5 minutes. One time I was traveling from LAX to O'Hare, and was a red-eye flight. It was an overnight flight. And subhanAllah, I arrived, I was really tired, kind of not paying attention to what's happening. I'm really exhausted, extremely exhausted. I had an entire weekend of dawah presentations in LA area. So I arrived to the airport, pick up my luggage, and I'm exiting the airport very early in the morning after Fajr. So I'm exiting the airport. I was just dressed up just like that. Then this man entering was at the baggage claim area. But then I still left. He was looking at me, But subhanAllah, he had a very different look. Very different look. I'm so used to people looking at me all the time. But I felt that he has something to say. He was curious and he really wants to say something. Anyway, so I left, and subhanAllah, can I tell you how many U-turns I've made in my life to come back and talk to people? When you get that feeling, there's something, there's a potential here. So anyway, I leave, but then I'm like, this man wants to say something. I better get back. Because I view that I could be the last messenger that would ever reach him. And I felt bad because he can miss out on knowing about Islam. It wasn't for me. So I go back and I introduce myself. And subhanAllah, when it comes to short-term dawah, this is the easiest place in the world, honestly, to do short-term. Because people are so nice, and they're so talkative, and it's extremely easy to approach strangers, right? I go and say, hi, how you doing? Introduce myself. I'm from this city. I say, oh, really? I have family there. So we start a conversation. So tell them, sir, I just really, you looked at me a certain way. And my gut feeling, my intuition was like, you wanted to say something. You wanted to say something. And I just have a feeling, and you can confirm that or not. But I have a feeling that you know some Muslims, right? Am I correct? Do you know any Muslims? I said, you are absolutely correct. One of my best friends is a Muslim. Okay, great. So we got that one right, at least. So then I start asking him, so why don't you tell me about yourself? Well, I said this and that, and start talking. And this entire conversation was only 20 minutes or less, maybe 15 to 20 minutes, tops. So then I tell him, so now that we mentioned Islam and Muslims, now it's not awkward to talk about religion, right? Because it's already there. You can't be weird, you can't be awkward, you have to be natural, right? So I told him, like, what do you know about Islam? He said, well, you know, I know that based on my interaction, my experience, Muslims are good people, and Islam is peaceful, and it's not like what the media portrays. Great, perfect. How many of them? So many of them out there, right? They have that foundation. So I was like, great, wonderful. So I told him, so what are you yourself? I mean, are you a Christian? I mean, what are you? He said, yeah, I guess you can say that I'm a Christian. Like, the vast majority of the people in this country, they identify with Christianity, yet they're not really Christians, if you really were to dive deep into their ideology and creed, right? So I told him, so you believe in God? Obviously. He said, yeah, I do believe in God. So I told him, so is like, you believe in God as like, what, three in one? I mean, do you believe in the Trinity? I mean, and subhanAllah, the majority of Americans don't understand the concept of Trinity. They don't understand it. It's so confusing. So I said, well, I actually believe in one God, I guess, you know, it's just one God. So I told the Creator, you agree with me? God, right? It's not Jesus. I said, no, it's not Jesus. No, it's God, the Creator. Okay, great. So you believe in Jesus as Son of God? Like how we all are the children of God, or the begotten Son of God? He said, well, honestly, Jesus was a teacher to me. He's more of a teacher. So like a messenger, you mean? He said, yeah, definitely. Great. So now if you analyze what I'm saying, I'm trying to establish 6 things, which are the articles of faith. There are 6. Al-Iman, and tu'mina billahi wa malaikati. So the Prophet, when he was asked about what's Iman, what's faith, he said to believe in Allah, His angels, well, kutubihi, the scriptures, wa rusulihi, messengers or prophets, wal yawm al-akhir, and the hereafter, or the last day hereafter, wal qadar khayr wa sharr min Allah ta'ala, in the hadith of Muslim, and the qadar, the predestined or fate. So I'm trying to address all of them. Alhamdulillah, he believes in God, he believes in the angels, he believes in all the scriptures with the exception of Quran. So we have one problem here. He believes in all the prophets with the exception of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu. So we have second problem. He believes in the last day, great, or the hereafter, great. He believes in the fate or predestiny, perfect. So we got all that covered with the exception of 2 problems, but they are really one problem, not 2. I'll tell you how. So I'm like, okay, so have you read the Quran? He said, well, I read the Quran. So what's your take on it? What do you think of it? Is it a good book? He said, yeah, actually it was good. It was very inspirational. I've done some research about Quran or Islam for like 20 years. This man was like a mid-50s. So I told him, so what was your impression? He said, it was great. I told him, great. So I told him, you know, Islam or the Quran is something so unique. Unbelievably unique. It will really shock you. Can I share some of these unique things with you? He said, yeah, absolutely. Man was just, you know, again, I was really brief to the point, and again, it was not a very lengthy conversation. And he was like, it seemed like he was not in a rush. So I grabbed the Quran, I opened it, and I actually went to Surah Al-Anbiya, I remember, and I told him, do you see this? And I referred to أَوَلَمْ يَرَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَنَّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ كَانَتَا رَتْقًا فَفَتَقْنَاهُمَا وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْ مَاءٍ شَرْبًا, and started putting in all these verses. You believe in the Big Bang? Wait, he said, yeah, absolutely. Look at this. The verse talks clearly about the Big Bang and how the creation came into existence. Then do you believe in the rotation of the sun and the moon? I mentioned that. I remember also I mentioned to him hidden receptors in the skin. And I mentioned to him like the shape of the earth and a few other things. One after another. And this man was like, are you sure this book was revealed 1400 years ago? Oh yeah, that's actually been over 1400 years ago. Wow, this is amazing. Man. So I was like, okay, so what do you think? Does it make sense? Does it make sense to say that the creator of the universe, is exactly what I told you? Does it make sense to say that the creator of the universe has put all, or has shared all these secrets of creation with his prophets, with his true messenger, to prove to us that he is coming with the true message from God? Does it make sense to you? He said, yes, it does. Because I told him, you know, there's no way Because all these modern scientific facts were discovered recently. So great. The man is sold on this. Alhamdulillah. So now he believes that the Quran is from God. Therefore, Prophet Muhammad is a messenger of God. So we already covered that. So when he said that, I had a big smile. And I was like so looking forward to him saying his shahada. Something really strange happened. So I had a big smile. I was really, really happy. I'm like, this is amazing. Guess what? You share the same beliefs with over 1.5 billion people on this planet. They're called Muslims. They have the same exact beliefs like they do. So he had a big smile himself and started laughing, and he was happy. Nice. So we're having a good conversation. He was in a good mood and everything. He loves what he heard so far. So I'm like, would you ever imagine yourself ever becoming a Muslim? So, what do you think? He's already got everything covered. He said, absolutely not. I will never become a Muslim. I was like, and he just shocked me. He just gave it to me. I'm like, can you imagine? You're just all there. You're just waiting to hear the shahada. I'm like, never. Like, you better go somewhere else. It's not going to happen. So I'm like, again, I was calmed down. He's talking, he's like, again, obviously kidding, and he's, in good mood and everything, but he's still insisting that he will never become a Muslim. And I'm not pushing. I did not push him into anything. I'm like, okay, interesting. So I just had a curiosity. And again, I'm very calm, very, very calm. Because somebody else, if you're not trained, you'll be like, you can see that on your face. You have to really remain calm, especially with Americans. They are very sensitive when it comes to any issue of religion, right? You can't. So I'm like, okay, it's just out of curiosity. Just wondering, what is it that's stopping you from becoming a Muslim? Stage number 6, right? Stage number 6. What is it? So he says something really serious here. I said, well, I'll be honest with you. My family, they are to the clergy. They are to the clergy. And they are very, very devout Christians. And if I were to ever become a Muslim, you will totally disown me for life. Okay, I get it. Makes sense. I understand. It's fine. So I'm like, John, let me ask you something. Remember just a few minutes ago we talked about the hereafter, and you told me that you believe in the hereafter, right? I said, yeah, of course. Believe in life after death and all that, because we share that with the Christians, right? So it's all imaginary. I want you to really just think about it for a moment here. So now the day of judgment takes place, and God brings you back to life. He resurrects you, brings you back to life, and He brings your family back to life. All of us now have to be judged and have an answer. Yeah. So imagine He brings you forth. And then He tells you, well, John, I've sent you a messenger. I sent you a messenger who clearly showed you and guided you to the truth. Yet, you chose to deny my message and deny me, to fulfill and to please these people over there, your family. Well, it's time for redemption. Redemption means adab. Torment. I'm just using terms that every Christian is familiar with. So now it's time for redemption. So yeah, I understand, makes sense. So I told him, do you think that your family, the ones that you've done everything for them, that you denied God and the true religion of God so you can please them, do you think that they will take that redemption on your behalf? And as soon as he heard that, as if he just got hit by a train. And he was like, really, he was just devastated at that point. It's like it was an eye-opener. It was like, you're absolutely right. You're definitely right. I never thought about it that way. And subhanAllah, he started saying things as if he knows the verses of the Quran. يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ وَأُمِّهِ وَأَبِيهِ وَصَاحِبَتِهِ وَبَنِيهِ. Like how that they everybody would be fleeing from everybody, from their beloved brothers and sisters and wife and children, and everybody would just be caring, but only nafsi, themselves. Because Christianity preaches the same exact thing. And he said it himself on his own. As if he knows the verses word by word. And today that everybody is just concerned about themselves, saving their own selves. No one will care for anyone. No one will care for the other. I was like, okay. Well, I want you to really think about it deeply. So now that you know that this family will not take redemption on your behalf, is it smart to deny God and choose not to accept Islam to flee them? So you are very right. I agree 100%. She told me, what are you going to do about it? So I'm like expecting him to say, can't become Muslim. I'm like, no. Okay, so I'm like, you have to be like, I don't want to say, humiliated because it's the wrong expression, but you have to be able to maneuver and use different strategies and to really, you can't be just stuck. Well, there's a problem here, try something else. And you just keep doing that. And make it natural and sincere. I'm trying to help him. He's my brother in humanity that I'm trying to help. I'm trying to save. That's all. I'm doing my best. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you tawfiq and help at these moments. At these very crucial moments. So he said, I'd like to learn. This is the most common excuse. That people, once they reach that stage, Shaitan is brilliant. He's brilliant. He knows us better than ourselves. He wants to deceive us in every way possible. And he will come to you from your good side, not from your bad side. Well, you do more research, have more conviction, have to do this and do that. Like this brother told me, I want to finish the Bukhari Muslim before I become Muslim, right? So I told him, you just told me now that you are convinced that Islam is the haq. You even read the Quran in the past, you even read about Prophet Muhammad, you're convinced. So why would I do? Why would you take the time? How do you know that you have the chance? What if you leave from here? What if I leave from here and maybe something happens to us on the way home? Maybe I die next week. Maybe I die tomorrow. I could have left. I could have just gone. But didn't you see the sign how God brought me back to you? Didn't you see? How do I can I guarantee my own life and death? Can you? No one can. You are very, very right. And it took him about 10 to 15 seconds. It's just complete silence. Just processing all the information. He said, what's it called? Called a testimony of faith. Shahada. And I told him to say after me, I bear witness that there's no deity worthy of worship except Allah. That the Messenger said that first in English, and then we translated that in Arabic, and he said in Arabic, SubhanAllah, man, the man was just gushing in tears, very emotional. And SubhanAllah, this is just one of many conversations, and many shahadas that, alhamdulillah, I've witnessed myself. You'd be amazed if you do the results. You'd be amazed by how easy it is, wallahi, if you do your homework, and if you continue to learn how to help people, be guided, or help people embrace Islam and just clarify the message and leave the results up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the good news is Mercy for Mankind, which the presentation was offered on behalf of Mercy for Mankind, the local Dawah organization. We are doing this, we're helping. We have our brother Samir Muqam, our chapter leader, our manager in Tampa, came all the way from Tampa, on his scooter, mashallah, all the way on his scooter, to help you brothers and sisters, inshallah. If you are interested in joining this effort, if you heard this information and you want to take advantage of it, we're trying to help you create a chapter here in Sarasota. And inshallah, I would like you to join this chapter. I'd like you, now that you know, practice that knowledge. And the good news is, the Prophet ﷺ said, for Allah to guide through one man to Islam will be better than the whole world and what it contains. So take advantage of this, inshallah, and register your information afterwards. Have the table outside, and please continue to help us and help yourself. Prophet said, whoever sponsors financially, the one who gives down will get the same exact reward. The professional, full-time and part-time brothers and sisters doing this on your behalf. So at least when you sponsor them financially, you have something to say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment, even if something, little every month. But do not leave today without supporting us, inshallah. Barakallahu feekum, jazakumullahu khairan, wa subhanahu wa bihamdihi, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, استغفرك واتوب اليك. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر
إن الإنسان في خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. And forgive me for going over time. I just really wanted to finish the whole presentation instead of cutting it short. And for more information, you can take the presentation from the Sheikh and check our series on Huda TV. But so.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله